okay, they do, but bodybuilders are some of the most unhealthy people on the planet, bro. Come on. Come on. Come on. We know this. So that's not the way to go. That's not what we should be comparing, you know. Alrighty, guys, gals, non-binary pals, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. Before we get into it, if you see all these lovely people here on the side of the screen, they are here while I'm recording this live. I stream on Twitch every single Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're ever bored around that time, please come by the stream. We would love to have you. Also, if you do like the videos, hitting a thumbs up really does help the channel out a lot. I know everyone asks for it, but it's part of the algorithm. It just helps out a lot, so I would really appreciate it. Today we are going to be talking about a video that was uploaded by Kiana. We have talked about her a number of times on the channel. We have gone over her videos. I'm a fan of the videos that she makes, but she uploaded a video that I felt like it spoke to me a lot because I have dealt with the same exact questions that she had to deal with in this video. So in the video is titled, "Do I Hate Fat People?" And she goes over, apparently there is a Quora thread. This is like a website where people ask questions and people answer them. But basically it was asking if she is, hates fat people. So she is someone that has lost a lot of weight as well, and she makes similar videos, albeit much higher quality, and production value is quite a bit higher than mine are. We're just vibing out over here on my channel. But she, talks about a lot of similar things, and obviously she has kind of similar life experiences because she was someone that grew up overweight and has lost the weight. So without further ado, let's get into the video. All right? Did I turn it back on normal speed? I did. All right, let's go.
Does Kiana Docherty hate fat people? This literally exists as a Quora right now. And honestly, it's a little bit surreal to me because I spent 90 to 95% of my life obese. Like, I gained a little bit of weight during COVID, but even at my thinnest, I would never consider myself to be like a thin person because it just has not been my life experience whatsoever. In high school, one of my best friends was also obese, and
So this question, I think, stems from something that I've dealt with a lot. Is I get called an exfat, right? I've talked about this a lot. Is like a lot of people in the health at every size movement or body positivity movement, fat acceptance movement, they label people that have lost weight as quote unquote ex-fats, people that are no longer fat, and they kind of label you as an enemy. And so I'm assuming that this comes from that kind of similar camp of people. And it's a lot of people that if they see that you have lost weight, they literally, no joke, will label you as an enemy immediately, regardless of what you've said, what you've done, anything. Just the fact that you have lost weight. It's like they see it as a slight against them, the fact that you have lost weight. It's very strange, but that's what's going on here, I assume.
We called our struggles the loaf, the life of a fatty. Because we just had struggles that other people our age did not have. I remember another time I was at a barbecue sitting next to this guy that I really liked. And he was looking at me. He was looking at me for an extended period of time, like in the eye, like kind of like I thought in a flirty way. And I was like, "Oh, like what? What is it?" And he was like, "You're really fat."
Who does that, bro? Like, who is that evil? Who is that evil? Like, bro, when I first saw this video, I was like, there's no way. There's no way. But of course there's a way because people suck, right? I have kind of a similar story. It wasn't someone doing something to me. It was something happening to me, but it was embarrassing. So I'll share it with you. So growing up, I lived in a house for a good amount of years, and we would have people come over a lot, right? So like we would have parties. My family just loved having people over. Right? And so we had like a porch that was kind of big, not super huge, but we had these chairs that we had outside. These chairs were not the best, all right? Honestly, okay, I'm going to be honest. Some of them were literally being held together by pieces of rope, okay? So should I have been sitting in them? No, right? I was 300 plus pounds at the time. But you do things, right? You do things. And there was this girl that was over that I thought was very pretty. And I think like it was like a thing that people knew that I thought she was cute and maybe she liked me, but we didn't really know, whatever, right? So I was like, yo, I'm going to try and spit some game. You know what I'm saying? And so she was sitting in one of the chairs, and I sat in one next to her. Now, this is a metal chair, and then right behind me is our house, right? So I sit in the chair. The thing snaps. My head slams into the house very loudly to the point where everyone in the living room comes out to see what happened. It was great. It was so much fun. I loved it. I loved it. It was awesome. I had a great time. It was awesome.
And yeah, I was crushed, obviously. Another time when I was even younger, I was like 8 or 9 or something. I went to the park wearing this like tight blue leggings and t-shirt combo. And my mom told me specifically, don't wear that to the park. And I did. And there were some like slightly older boys, and they like followed me around the park calling me Rosie O'Donnell, which is like the most 90s fat joke of all time. But yeah. Not only that, but almost every single person in my family struggles with their weight. When I was a kid, one of my aunts was actually the largest person I had ever seen with my eyes. So for a quora to exist that asks if I hate fat people, it's truly bizarre to me. Because regardless of what the scale says, in some ways, I'll never not be a fat person. You know what I mean? Also, before we get into it, please don't.
I think that there is truth to that, right? Like, I can empathize with someone that is struggling with their weight. I think more than someone that obviously has never struggled with their weight. But there is a point, at least for me, where at some point, like as the years go by, because I've had the weight off for 10 years now, right? As the years go by, I'm just going to be honest. It does get harder and harder to remember those exact feelings, right? I remember those overarching things that happened, the story I told you and how I felt about that. But it's hard for me to remember exactly how it felt to stand up from a chair, right? Exactly how it felt to sit up from my bed. Because I remember it was pretty hard, but I don't remember exactly what it was like. I do not at all remember exactly what it was like looking down at my naked body when I was bigger. A big part of it was because I literally didn't. I wouldn't even look at myself. I didn't even want to look at myself, right? So there are things that you genuinely, I think that after time, those things can get washed away. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, but that's just been my experience.
Don't think that I'm like defending myself or like I'm sad about this quora. Honestly, it's been up for like I think like a year, and I think it's kind of funny. I thought you guys would think it was funny too, and I never make these kind of like chatty videos, so I thought we could talk about this. And I have a lot more to say, but I do have to do a sponsorship before we get going. And back to the video. Anyway, at the same time, I do get why this question exists. I've now made a bunch of videos declaring that obesity is in fact unhealthy and bashing the fat acceptance movement in a world where a growing group of people truly believes that obesity is not unhealthy, that your weight does not pose a risk to your health. Like,
now, obviously, I don't agree with that statement, right? I don't think that being obese is totally healthy. But the thing is I'm just going to be honest, right? I understand why there are people that react this way to people that have lost weight. I'm not saying that it's right, but the fact of the matter is there are a lot of people out there that absolutely treat overweight people like shit, right? There absolutely are people out there that will use the guise of, oh, I just care about your health, to be absolute assholes. That absolutely exists. So I understand how someone's knee-jerk reaction might be to think something like this. What I don't agree with is if they do continue, which a lot of times they don't, but if they do continue to look at the content that you're making, Kiana and myself, and the different things that I'm actually saying in my videos, if they continue to believe that, there's obviously nothing I can do, and they 1000% just believe this because I am someone that has lost weight, regardless of what I have to say. So I do understand the knee-jerk reaction to an extent, but what I don't understand is how you can continue to watch my stuff or Kiana's stuff and still continue to think that, right? That's my big issue.
There are people right now fighting to end obesity research because they think that it's mean. And that includes people fighting against childhood obesity. Like, I wish that this was just a fringe concept, but seriously, people are starting to think that your body weight accounts for nothing when it comes to your health. And even if it did, it doesn't matter because it's impossible to change it. You know, your weight is up to your genetics and your socioeconomic status more so than it is your choices and actions. And it's honestly insane and tragic to me that this idea is recruiting so many people successfully. Because data aside, any ex-obese person will tell you it's like night and day living in an obese versus normal weight body. Life is just physically easier at a healthier body weight. And the data strongly suggests that obesity is extremely unhealthy for us.
And this is the stuff that's crazy to me is like, there will be a lot of arguments that like, oh, just because you're obese, that doesn't mean that you can't do X, Y, Z. And I'm like, dude, my brother in Christ, my sister in Christ, right? I remember how it felt when I had to work at the Van store, it's a shoe store, and I wore shoes that are very similar to what I continue to wear. They didn't have much support, and I would work a 4-hour shift. And when I tell you that my feet hurt so unbelievably bad, like it was excruciating. That wasn't the outside world. That wasn't expectations that were making my feet hurt. They hurt because I had a lot of weight on them, right? And so is the answer to just provide everyone with a chair? I mean, maybe in the moment, but like, don't you think that maybe if you can't stand up for a period of time, whether it's an hour, 4 hours, whatever it might be, don't you think that, hey, maybe this is not the way that I should be living, right? That's how I felt. I remember I hated how much pain I would be in, right?
Never wavered from that. And as someone who consumes a lot of health information, health content all the time, from scientists, doctors, psychologists, whoever, it's funny to me how plainly they state that obesity is truly unhealthy for you. Like, I don't think I've heard one of them really seriously question it at all. It's very much so just a social thing. In fact, as we collect more data, it seems to be worse and worse all of the time, with the current theory being that obesity itself is a chronic inflammatory state, and this chronic inflammatory state is what leads to the diseases that we associate with obesity. So it's just crazy to me that people think this is no big deal despite mountains of evidence to the contrary. And I kind of feel like it's my duty to talk about it. Obesity has negatively impacted me personally. I have an online voice. I think fat acceptance is harmful. It leads to self-victimization, set of limiting beliefs, and worsening health. And most importantly, it is something that everyone can change if they want to, and it's worth every ounce of effort that it takes. But when I say that, I'm not saying that I feel everyone is obligated to lose weight if they're overweight. I think if you're obese and you're happy, that's your choice and you are entitled to it. And it is extremely difficult to change. Yeah, I don't feel that it's my business to tell you that you need to lose weight. People value different things.
I agree with that, right? So like, one thing that I really dislike is the people that are just like, LOL forehead, just eat less, move more, easy. And it's just like, okay, if you really think it's that simple, you have missed the boat, bro. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You are in La La Land, because it's obviously not that simple. Obviously, right? Like, there are tons of people that are trying to do that it's not just, click my fingers, snap my heels, whatever. Reverse that, okay? Oh, I'm fixed. Hello. Woohoo. No, it's not. It's just not, right? It's difficult. There's a lot of issues. And I agree with a lot of the stuff that fat acceptance says, like talking about the socioeconomic issues, talking about, the situation that you're born in. Are you in a food desert? Do you have options? All of those things matter, and they all play a role in how hard it's going to be to lose the weight, how you gain the weight. All of those things matter, but it does not change the fact that being obese has many negative effects on your health, has many negative effects on your life. So regardless of whose fault it might be, it doesn't matter who the fault lies on, right? Because the responsibility is on the individual if they want to change, right? So yes, you can blame all of these things. You can find fault in all of these things. And I'm not even saying that it's wrong to find fault in those things. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't. If you want to change, you have to take the responsibility. It doesn't matter if you keep pushing the fault on other people, right? You have to take the responsibility, and that's something that you need to do to change, right?
Things. A turning point in my health journey, or whatever you want to call it, was discovering that health is a core value for me. And when I discovered that, I hadn't actually done anything healthy up until that point in my life, but it kind of points out why some of your actions might make you feel bad. And a lot of time there's a lot more reason there than just the number on the scale. If you have my guide, you know that one of the first exercises I have you do is figure out your core values, because your core values tell you a lot about what your motivations are in life and what types of actions are going to make you feel either good or bad. Like when I discovered that health was a core value for me, it clicked that being a certain weight was never going to be enough for me. And I had to figure out how to live a healthy lifestyle in order to feel truly fulfilled. And that's
and I agree with this, right? Like, so for me, when I think of core values, like one of my core values, one of the things that really sets me on fire, like is one of like the things that is really, really important to me is bread. I love bread. So
that's something that I'm still figuring out and working on perfecting, which is partially why I have this channel. And it's obviously something that doesn't necessarily come naturally to me. So it's really kind of my task to get myself in alignment with this value so that I can flourish as a person. We've all heard the term integrity. Well, it actually means to live with integrity is to behave in a manner that is consistent with and fulfills one's core values. Integrity is an intentional process of moving toward adherence to one's professed values. It really means becoming whole, self-actualizing, essentially. For me, it's I just want to choose. You know what I mean? Like if I'm going to eat something, I want it to be because I wanted to eat that thing and not because I have a bad habit of eating everything that's in sight. That's how I feel. Freedom is another huge component of it for me. I don't want to be a slave to food. I don't want anything to have that kind of power over me, especially not fucking food. I have sat there in my life and stared at pizza and thought to myself, fuck, everything. How much have I given up for this? How much have I given up for this? And then still gone and ate the pizza. Like what?
See, with me, when I be looking at pizza, I be thinking, hey, that looks good. That's about it. That's my mind is, it's just not very deep, it's all good.
Is messed up. And not being able to conquer something so vital, it truly just makes you feel hopeless. Every single year, I would set the same goal. Lose weight. And every single year, I would fail. Actually, not only would I fail, I would just get fatter. It's such a mind fuck to fail and fail and fail at the same thing over and over and over again. Especially for an ambitious person, that type of failure, it just messes with you on like a deep level.
So this is something that I'm going to stop memeing. All right, I'm going to be serious. But I agree with this to a certain extent, right? So for me, I was the person that I tried to lose weight a bazillion times. Like I really, really did. When I was younger, when I was a kid, before I lost weight when I was 20. That was like the time that I actually lost the weight. But before that, I tried to lose weight. Anything you can think of, right? I tried it all. And it didn't work. But the issue for me was that I didn't know what I was doing, right? And I was doing these things that were way too intense. It was way too much. And that's why, I know that this isn't even what she's talking about, but I need to talk about this. This is something that is very, very important to me, is that people go way too hard at the start. They do things that are too intense, that are dangerous, that are not sustainable. And that's a big reason why so many people fail, because they'll be able to do it for 3 days, 4 days, a month, whatever it might be, but then they'll fall off the wagon because it's too hard. Losing weight is hard. It is. But if you are making it harder on yourself, do you think you are going to succeed or do you think you are going to fail, right? most likely it's not going to work out. That's why I'm not a fan of doing super crazy, intense crash diets. That's why I don't promote those. That's why I will never promote those, because I want you to lose the weight and I want you to keep it off. That is the most important thing, right?
Autonomy is actually a central tenet of self-actualization. Humans need to feel that we have control of over our own actions, and even to some degree have control over our environment to truly flourish. So repeating the same toxic behavioral patterns over and over and over and over again is truly a nightmare. And that is why I originally made this channel. And that is why I originally researched behavior change. Not because I hate fat people, but because a lot of fat people don't like being fat. And a lot of fat people are fat for more reasons than just they like food and don't like to exercise. And a lot of people are stuck the exact same way I was. It's like we all know what to do, but there's this huge disconnect between knowing and doing. Like, I truly believe that having a food addiction or being obese is one of the hardest bad habits to kick of them all, because of course you can't go cold turkey. You have to figure out how to navigate your life in a completely different way forever. But I see it as a behavioral and psychological issue that can be overcome. It's not some genetic destiny that you're doomed to live out. I'm moving a little bit away from just talking about obesity, as I'm sure you can tell by my general content, and moving more toward talking about just health and behavior change and flourishing in general, because those are my primary interests. But I will never stop talking about obesity or bashing fat acceptance. As long as there are people saying that obesity is perfectly fine, I will continue to say, and I don't care what people think, when I say that fat acceptance, Tess Holiday, and the rest of it is toxic, because it is.
Okay, so here's where I kind of disagree. It feels to me like there's a little bit... It's almost like there's this general, really big disdain. And this is something, it's not just Kiana. It's a lot of other creators that are similar to the content that I make. So, like, there's a lot of this disdain for fat acceptance and, people that are in that camp, which I get it, right? Some of them are idiots. But this is a big butt. This is a fat, honking dump truck butt, all right? There are, and I will, maybe this is a hill I shouldn't die on, but I believe genuinely that there are way, way, way more of those idiots on the fitness side, man. Like, I don't know. I'm sorry, but there are so many assholes and dickheads and jerks and doo-doo caca heads on the fitness side that will act like they have the answer, that will act high and mighty, that will say that they know what you need to do, that will give you plans, that will sell you this, that will sell you that, that'll say this, that'll say that, that'll just try and get your money, that I think that they both suck, dude. Like, they both suck. And I think that we should talk about both of them. Because honestly, fuck them both. But that's just my opinion.
Would have nothing to say if this movement was just about fat people accepting themselves. And of course, there is a kernel of it that is good and helpful, but it's all totally decimated by all of the ridiculous anti-science nonsense that is spread throughout their movement. Your body getting fatter is an act of survival. Congrats on being here. Wait, what? The desire to eradicate the existence of fat bodies can also be called eugenics. And like I said, something that makes me the angriest is I just keep hammering home that weight loss is impossible. Like, bodybuilders like lose and gain weight, lose and gain weight. It's obviously possible.
Okay, they do, but bodybuilders are some of the most unhealthy people on the planet, bro. Come on. We know this. So that's not the way to go. That's not what we should be comparing, you know? Like, yes, they lose and gain weight, but a lot of them are on steroids. A lot of them are starving themselves to compete on stage, and then they gain a ton of weight because they binge after the show. Like, I don't know if bodybuilding is the correct comparison here, you know? Just saying. Honestly, probably the worst, in my opinion.
Like, when it comes to weight management is stigma. I can remember the moment that I discovered for myself that it was possible for me to lose weight. I had successfully gone to the gym for, I can't remember how long it was for, a successive period of time for the first time ever. And I had lost like 20 pounds or something like that. And I cried in the change room because I was like, I can do this. It's up to me. That's all it is. I just got to put in the work.
I remember that feeling too. For me, it was after I had lost about, I think it was like about 50, because I was just like, I'm not joking. I've said this many times in videos. I was the person that literally believed it was impossible for me to lose weight. I thought, I would joke around, I have a broken metabolism. I don't have a metabolism. When I look at food, I gain weight. Like I believed all of those things. I eat the same food as my friends and they don't gain weight. All of that stuff, I was the one that was saying it. I did not believe it was possible. So I 100% agree. And yes, like there are certain things that I disagree with her on this. Like I don't think there's anybody out there that's making videos at least that I agree 100% on everything. There just isn't, right? I would say for the most part on a lot of stuff I agree with her, but there are things that I disagree on. Like, but that's, I don't know. I don't think that's a terrible negative thing. But I mean, if there's something that I disagree with, I'm going to bring it up. I'm just going to keep it 100, as the children say.
And from that moment, you kind of have a certain certainty about your actions that allows you to be more effective in your change efforts. So it has a profound effect that they push this idea that people can't lose weight. And I don't want to make sweeping assumptions about an entire group of people, but I would assume, just based on psychology, that it does make this whole idea that it's impossible, that people just hate fat people, that this whole narrative is just a conspiracy to keep them down. It does maybe make them feel better about their inability to change thus far, at least for some of them, I'm sure. I still have a lot of work to do on myself. Like I said, I did gain a little bit of weight in the pandemic, and just getting to your healthiest possible lifestyle, it takes time, especially from like a place of a food addiction, which I had before, if you haven't seen my other video. But I think I'm going to do an update video in about a month or two to this video, which I've never watched that video again because it's so personal and awkward. Just the idea of it like really cringes me out, but but anyway, a lot has improved since that video. So I'm going to do an update to it.
It's interesting, right? Because this is the stuff that I talk a lot about. Is that a lot of times people will watch different influencers, whoever it is, a weight loss influencer, me, anybody, right? And they will see what they're saying and they're like, oh, that's the truth. That's what I need to follow. That's right. But a lot of times, like Kiana said, we're on journeys ourselves. So that's why I just don't like when people start making claims and start becoming authorities on weight loss and fitness when they are literally in the middle of a weight loss journey, right? When you are literally in the middle of a weight loss journey, I'm sorry, but you don't know what you're talking about yet because you haven't maintained for any period of time. And I'm not saying that you're not allowed to say anything, but just understand, remember that, right? Remember that. Keep that in mind because your life will probably look very different in 5 years. And so the advice that you're going to give will probably be very different in 5 years. And the damage that you can do to someone that will listen to anything that you say, and I'm not just saying this for Kiana, this is overarching, right? Can be massive. So just be careful. Just be careful. Because you don't know that the thing that you said might really damage someone. It might really help them too, but just understand the words that you use, they hold a lot of weight.
Totally transformed my relationship with food. And not to toot my own horn, but lately I've really been teaching myself how much change is possible and really how much of my own issues were kind of in my head, I think. Anyway, I never really do chatty videos with you guys, and I thought this Quora, even though it's like a year old.
But yeah, that's pretty much the entire video there. But yeah, so like I wanted to say, geez, these shorts, bro. Okay, this is... All right. That's pretty much everything that I needed to say. I don't think there's anything that I need to kind of go over, but I just wanted to share my thoughts. Again, I agree with a lot of the stuff she said. I disagree with some of the stuff that she said, but I mean, that's human nature, right? But make sure you guys go check out her video if you want to watch the whole thing. There will be a link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. Make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment if you want to say anything, if you want to share your thoughts, and I would really appreciate it. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.